I mean, listen, I think this is him just making it very, very clear to the Cleveland Browns, I'm playing both ways. And if you have any trepidation about that, then let me slip, and the Giants will let me do it. And if you haven't like that, I think, listen, the data on this is tough in college sports to get it exact, but it had been at least 8 years since anyone had played 250 snaps on both sides of the ball. And he did 700 plus on both sides of the ball. And so this article also, I thought, made a smart point, which is, or it was actually Dion that made this point, but the article gave the data to it, which is college football plays are faster. Like they come, the average time between plays in college football, 31 seconds, and pro football's 35 seconds. So he'll actually have a little more time to get his wind in between plays. And so I think at this point, it would be foolish to act as if this is beyond him, that he can't do it. And I think he has earned the right for whatever team, since he is being clear up front, this is my expectation. Don't draft me if you're not cool with it. That any team that drafts him is kind of agreeing on the front end, we're going to let you have your shot to do this and do this at a high level.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think he played football. If he only played one way, I mean, he's not going to give up the money. So that's nice. And in terms of making a demand of, hey, this is what I'm going to do, you're not really in a position to do that. You're going to do what the team tells you to do. But all that being said, to not play him on both sides of the ball, and what I'm advocating for isn't full-time on both sides of the ball, but to play him in whatever his primary position is. So if you want to play him at wide receiver, which I think it's easier to play him at wide receiver as your primary position because you control, you know, what's happening, what groups he's in, things like that. And then you play him in substituted defenses, you know, nickel and dime and things like that. We did it with Troy Brown in New England. He was a 12-year wide receiver, had never played on defense. We worked him in training camp. I would meet with him after offensive meetings. We'd go through the different packages. He ended up playing 250 snaps on defense that year. So he can definitely play both sides of the ball. I don't believe he's going to play every play both sides of the ball, but why wouldn't you play him whichever side you decide to start him? Why wouldn't you then use him on the other side in the critical situations and maximize his ability to contribute to the team? I think that's smart, and to get a guy like this, it's huge. It's so incredibly valuable to have a player that's this versatile. It's fantastic.
I'm going to let Brew talk, but if you don't have a player full-time at that position, why would you want that player in the critical moments who's now has not been playing or practicing either throughout the week or throughout the game full time in that moment? Like that just makes no sense. It just doesn't. It's just that's not how you maximize human performance. I actually am shocked that he even just said that. I really am. I'm really stunned that he just said in critical moments you can put him out there. But if he's not maximized at that position, you're better off putting the player in there who has been in that position throughout the game, throughout the season, whatever it may be. Like that. Wow.
What I do if I'm a team that drafts him, I bring him in almost like it's two players. I bring him in and I start out with him as a receiver and a cornerback. And let's see, but I'm not letting him do anything. If you are one of our best corners, you're going to start.
He will.
If you are one of our best receivers, you're going to start. If he can do, I'm just going to let him do it. I don't know that he can excel at both. And I think if he can't excel at both, then he'll realize that at a point, and then we have a meeting, and then I think that's when we dial down the package where, okay, you're a full-time receiver, but we'll have packages with you as a corner or vice versa, whatever they want to do. I just think for him, as much as I would rather, if I'm him, be a star going one way and occasionally playing both ways than to be solid at both and not great at either. That's my thing. He was clearly great in college. He's facing a whole nother level of athlete in the pros. So I think I'd rather have him be great on one side than solid on both.
And another consideration is going to Cleveland, who's throwing the ball. So if you go in and you're playing wide receiver and you don't have a guy that can consistently, impact the game because you're dependent on the person throwing the ball, maybe it's better initially to start him on defense because that's where he'll have more impact.
This is increasingly becoming the dumbest story of the NFL draft, for sure. For many reasons. But this quote is awful. And this is what he said. He said it himself. If you can't play both ways, it's never playing football again. Because I've been doing it my whole life. And I love being on the football field. I feel like I could dominate on each side of the ball, so I really enjoy doing it. None of that means anything. You've done it your whole life. Congrats. You did it when you were 14 years old. That's awesome. That's really great. You did it in college. Awesome. Congrats. You're going to be in the NFL playing with grown men. You feel like you could dominate on each side of the ball. Really? Really? So you're either going to be able to do double the work, which is just going to be physically impossible because there's only so much time in the day, or you're now going to have to cut your training and your reps in half because, again, there's only so much time in the day, and you're going to be able to be as good of a wide receiver as, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, etc., and you'll be as good of a defensive player as, pick whoever you want, whoever you think is the most dominant these days. Like, it's just so absurd that you think you'll be able to be dominant on both sides of the ball, putting in half the time, or you think you somehow, at an NFL level, will be able to put in full time for both individual sports. We already know what it's like that these football players are pushed so much to the edge. They are pushed so much to that line, and you're somehow now going to be able to do double it. Again, it's absurd. Or to think that you're going to be able to essentially play an entire game, like truly an entire game, both sides of the ball, at an NFL level. It's just absurd. And that if you don't get to do that, you're never playing football again. That's just insane. That shows such a lack of maturity. It just does. I mean, listen, I really, really, really like Travis Hunter. A lot. I absolutely hate that quote. I mean, you're literally saying, if I don't get my way, I'm going to take my ball and go home. I mean, when I first saw that line, I immediately am thinking to myself, like, you're at practice and, you're doing some sort of drill and you're getting kind of tired. And, we always have that one guy who's like, man, I don't feel like doing this no more. They're just like, man, coach better not have us do another drill after this one. I'm trying to get home. And it's like, yeah, man, we're all trying to get home. We're all tired. It's hot. I'm thirsty. I'm hungry. We all are trying to get home. Like, we know that. Like, get over it. Get over it. Or if you definitely ever played with someone who kind of like talks about like not wanting to play or wanting to quit or, man, I'm sick of this stuff. Okay, if you're sick of it, then good, quit, get away. We're all here because we want to be here. We're all trying to compete. We're all trying to ball. And like, I get that his heart is in the right place because at the core of it, he does want to be there. He does want to ball. But like, this is just absurd. This is just the wrong way to go about it. And the idea that you think that you're going to be able to dominate on both sides of the ball, you can't just be like, oh, you can't fault him for having confidence. There's a difference between confidence and delusion. And there's one thing if he said, listen, I'm really excited. I really do believe that I can dominate on each side of the ball, and I'm excited to find out. I'm excited to put in the work. But you don't even know what it's like to dominate in one position in the NFL. And you're talking about doing two. Again, let's just say that you have 8 hours in the day to practice. You're either going to have to put all 8 hours to be a wide receiver like Jamar Chase does, like Justin Jefferson, or you're going to have to split it and do 4 and 4. And so now you're going to say that you're going to be able to be as good as Jamar Chase and only put in 4 hours of work? Well, that's pretty remarkable, man. Or you're somehow going to now work out for 16 hours of the day, and you're somehow not going to crash and burn from that. The human body has limitations. That's a reality. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. And just this whole thing of like, and it says, because it's never playing football again because I've been doing it my whole life. And I love being on the football field. Okay? Again, what you've done in the past means nothing in the NFL at this point. It just what you did when you were 17 years old means nothing. I'm sorry, what you did in Colorado means nothing once you're in the NFL. Does anyone care what Patrick Mahomes did in college? What Tom Brady did in college? No, nobody cares because it doesn't matter. You're in the NFL now. When you're in college, are you like, well, when I was 12, I got an A in math class. It doesn't matter. And then again, the idea of essentially threatening, it's never playing football again. Like you're trying to send a message to the teams who are looking to draft you. If I was truly on the fence between Travis Hunter and say like Carter or whatever, right? If I was just really kind of like, oh man, you can't go wrong with either of these guys. A quote like this that says, I'm going Carter. And I wouldn't look back. Not because I think he's going to quit, not because I think that he's not going to be great, but I'm just like, I don't know, man. I just don't like that. And I'm not trying to be alarmist or anything, because like I said, I think he will, I think he'll be awesome in the NFL. I think he will play one position, one side of the ball. Will they have some, a random package for him here and there? Fine, but that would be more because they're just trying to satisfy him at that point. They would just be trying to just be like, oh, okay, we know you want to do this, so we're going to do it for you. Rather than being like, this is really going to help our team. Because Travis Hunter, like being a wide receiver, like one play a game, like that's something, like, huh? And again, that ends up, he's going to have to practice that. Like that ends up just being wasted time then from that point. He could be an A player on offense or defense, Could he play both sides of the ball? I'm sure he could. Could he be an A on both sides of the ball? No. Could he be a C on both sides of the ball? I'm sure. I'm sure. He's obviously incredibly gifted. Wants to work hard. So could he be a C on both sides of the ball? I'm sure. Do I think that his body could handle that season after season? I do not. Nobody can. Just the way how human physiology works, man. Just basic biology. Your body can only withstand so much. You need rest. You need to be able to recover. You look at defensive players after a set of downs, they're on the sideline. They're tired. They're gassed. We've all seen what it's like to have defenses, elite defenses, in a game where maybe their offenses just keeps turning the ball over, going 3 and out. You can see it. The defense looks gassed. You need breaks. You need time off. Not only in a game, but also collectively throughout practices, throughout a season, etc. So this whole thing is just bizarre to me. And to say a quote like this, essentially 10 days before the draft, you're going into the draft telling teams, here's the deal. This is what I want. Bro, that's not how the NFL works. That is not how the NFL works. And quite frankly, love it or hate it, you're not important enough. If there was like a weird situation where you were an unbelievable quarterback and, and people were like, oh my God, this guy's going to be the next Jaden Daniels. And he's also like, but I also want to punt or something. He's like, I'm also a punter. I've done it my whole life. I love punting. And he kind of said that he would have leverage because you'd be like, dude, this quarterback is unbelievable. He is elite. He is special, et cetera, et cetera. And we know how important the quarterback position is. But, like, come on. There's always other wide receivers. no shortage of defensive players. Like that's just the reality. And again, don't get it twisted. I am not saying that Travis Hunter isn't great. I'm not saying that Travis Hunter isn't special. I'm not saying that Travis Hunter won't be awesome in the NFL. I'm not saying any of those things. But I'm saying this whole collection of events, these types of sound bites, these types of quotes, this type of mentality, it's not positive. It's just not. Threatening to quit if you don't get your way in the NFL? I mean, that's insane. I mean, that really is. That really, really is. Imagine the greatest players. Let's just go with the current players. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, no order at all. Don't go crazy. And it's just like if Patrick Mahomes said, if I can't run a trick play once every couple of weeks, I'm quitting. I mean, think of how insane that sounds. Patrick Mahomes wants to be more mobile. And Andy Reid's like, no, man. I want you to, I don't want you to be trying to, get 60, 70, 80 yards a game. And he's like, but my whole life, I've ran, In college and high school, I was always, first or second top rusher for my team. Always. And Andy Reid's like, I know you did that in college, stuff like that, but like, you're too important being able to throw the ball, this or that. We need to establish the run game outside of you. This is what we need. And he's like, I'm going to quit if you don't let me run. I mean, think of how insane that sounds. That you would be like, what are you talking about right now? That would be insane. Truly insane. And yet, this is what Travis Hunter is saying with significantly less power, with significantly less, predictions of what you're going to be able to achieve in the NFL compared to obviously what we've seen Patrick Mahomes do. I'm really kind of dumbfounded by this, which is why I really wanted to do this clip. I'd already talked about Travis Hunter playing on both sides of the ball, but when I see that there's this extra layer of what he's saying, I don't like it. And again, I believe he will get to a team. He's going to see it, and he'll justify it to himself. Yeah, I just realized, it's better to focus on one side of the ball. But he's going to see that he can't do it. That you can't truly be elite on both sides of the ball in the NFL. You just don't have enough hours in the day. Your body can't handle it. You can't cut some of the time on either side of the ball and expect to still be elite. Like, you're going to be able to be as good as Jamar Chase and cover Jamar Chase. Come on. I'd love to be wrong. I'll be the first one to say I was wrong, and I'll watch it. I'll watch every single play, man, and I'll love it, and I'll praise him and say, Travis Hunter, baby, this is unbelievable. He's amazing, etc., etc. I was wrong. But I am very, 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 very confident there's just no chance. No chance. Maybe at best, for like a season. And that's like the best scenario. But no, not happening. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Travis Hunter threatening to quit football? Which is just absurd to say out loud. If he doesn't get his way and is able to play on both sides of the ball, let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.